Well, today we're in Oklahoma City and we're visiting one of the new OBGA affiliate gardens. We're here at Will Rogers Horticultural Gardens and Arboretum, and we're visiting with Kathy Connell, who is the horticulture supervisor here. Kathy, thanks for showing us around today.
Thank you, Brenda.
So, now, while this is a new OBGA affiliate garden, the Will Rogers has been here a long time, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. The Oklahoma City Parks Department purchased the land in 1911, and then at 1936, 1937, a gentleman by the name of Henry Walters designed the park, planted it with the members of WPA and CCC workers. The land is 30 acres. We have 15 acres of an arboretum, 15 acres specialty gardens. And this is one of the specialty gardens, the iris garden and the daylily garden and the perennial garden. It's all grouped together as one.
Well, great. Well, that's basically what we're here for, is to take a tour of your gardens, and maybe we can just, you can show us around.
Sure. This right here is the iris garden. We have a partnership with the Oklahoma Irish Society here in town, and they purchase the rhizomes, and we plant them. We help them work and plant the bulbs and the rhizomes, and then we also maintain the gardens.
So, now this is, I'm sure, a very nice display in the spring when everything's blooming, and you've got them labeled really well.
Right. Okay. All the irises are labeled. They have the last 3 years introductions at the park, so they're all current and new.
Oh, that's nice.
Also, this is our daylily garden,
and
also all of those are labeled. So we have spring blooming with the irises, and then we have the summer blooming, the June blooming with the daylilies.
That's really nice. And so you get a lot of cooperation from your societies that way.
Right.
So this is a really pretty garden here.
This is our perennial garden. Of course, we needed some summer blooming also incorporated into the garden since we had the irises and the daylilies. So we incorporated the perennials. Perennials are getting to be a hot topic with the homeowner.
Oh, yes.
People enjoy planting them once and then just maintaining them and not having to planting them year after year. So they're getting real popular, so we like to display things that the homeowner would use in their garden, something that they can come out and look at, and that maybe they can implement the same design in their garden. And as you can tell, each perennial is also labeled.
Kathy, your signage here at the park is really good. And that's a really big part of being a botanical garden is the educational aspect to it, isn't it?
Yes. When Henry Walters designed the park in the late 30s, that was a main aspect, and his landscape design theme was education. With the arboretum and the specialty gardens, he displayed different trees and different shrubs, different annuals and perennials. And we also, since then, has incorporated different demonstration gardens, and this is one of them. It's the xeriscape garden. This was a joint partnership with the water department with Oklahoma City. Water department, they could tell from the water bill that people were doing a lot of watering in the summertime. And what we were watering were our trees and our shrubs and our grass and our annuals and perennials. So they wanted to demonstrate a garden to the public, and it's advertised in the water bill that we're here and our address, and for the public to come and view. And we have 3 different types of xeriscape gardening demonstrated here, and they show different plant material, how to use your turf in one area, how not to use your turf in another area, because your grass is the highest water usage that we have. Using annuals and maybe versus using perennials as a more of a low water usage. And also the demonstration, I think, is really great because all the plant material here is very common to Oklahoma.
Right.
It's things that you can go to your retail garden center and purchase, so it's not unusual things. And when we think of xeriscape gardening, we think of cactus and very native and things. So this right here shows you can have a real pretty yard but cut back on your watering also.
Now these are basically medium, and then this would be the very low water use area that we have here.
We have the 3 usage. We have a high water usage down at the other end, but it's high water usage, but yet xeriscape gardening, medium, and then minimal. And on the minimal, they're showing you instead of the annuals and the perennials and the turf, you can use sedums as some color. And of course, sedums are getting real popular with the retail.
Yes, they are.
You can see them in your garden centers. People are planting them. They're very low maintenance also. So we also have some native things over here. Our redbud, eastern redbud, which is our state tree. We have a crepe myrtle. We're using some ornamental grasses in this area. So still, it's a very nice demonstration. It can be a very nice aspect of your yard.
Now I like this. This is definitely kind of the epitome of a xeriscape low water use garden is a yucca.
Right. We all think of yuccas with those cactus, but this is a red yucca, and it's very nice. As you can tell, the foliage is very soft. It has a real natural look to it, and with the red blooms at the top. So when people say yucca to incorporate in xeriscape gardening, you need to think about your red yucca. I think you'd be real pleased with using that.
Now, Kathy, you have more demonstrations than just garden demonstrations going on here, don't you?
Right. We also have an educational display on how to use integrated pest management in your home. Will Rogers Park, we try to implement things that you would be doing at home, whether it be your mowing. We have trees and shrubs that you would be planting at your home, and sometimes you have problems with pests and diseases. And we have signage, and we work with the county extension on the signage, the integrated pest management agent. We ID'd diseases and problems, and there's signage that talks about it and how to use a natural and biological method of taking care of that problem without using chemicals. And then at the last resort, if you have to, chemicals can be used, but use them very safely. So the signage is located throughout the park. As you're walking and looking at the trees and shrubs, you also see the signage, and so it's real easy to read, and it's very informative.
Kathy, this is a gorgeous part of the gardens here.
This is the Charles E. Sparks Rose Garden. It was planted in 1938, was the first original planting. And it was planted again in 1950 and then again in 1991, modernized in those 2 years. They've held two national All-American Rose Conventions here, one in 1938 and one in 1986.
Oh, wow.
We're on 1.5 acres. We have 3,000 roses, 250 varieties. We have hybrid teas, Brenda floras, floribundas, miniatures. We also have some antique roses. We have some hybrid musk. And then one thing that's getting real popular again in our homeowner usage is David Austin roses. And the reason why David Austin's is nice roses is because they're disease resistant with the spider mites and the black spots. So we also have a display garden of David Austin roses.
Oh, that's nice. Now, I'm sure that this is a good place to see how roses perform in Oklahoma. You can kind of pick out the ones that are the good performers.
Well, with 3,000 of them, you have a lot to choose from. And also, that's what we do. If we have a rose that seems to be real highly diseased with black spot, or it has prone to red spiders, we pretty much take that out of the gardens and try to use a rose that a homeowner would be more interested in, something that they can use and enjoy, because you're not going to enjoy it if you have to spray it. You have to look at black spot. And also that helps with our maintenance. So we try to we've got the gardens down to roses that do very well in Oklahoma City area.
That's great. Now you have, in addition to your gardens, with our perennials and our shrubs, you also have a wonderful arboretum here.
Right. The arboretum is 15 acres. It was started in the 40s, and most of the plantings was done in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s were the majority of the planting.
Now, how many trees do you have out here?
Well, approximately, we probably have about 1,000.
Wow, that's a lot of trees. This is a beautiful tree. I love this golden lacebark elm.
Right. This is the Golden Ray. A nurseryman by the name of Bruce Ray, who's one of our elder nurserymen here in Oklahoma City, cultivated this tree, and it's named after him. Also, to the right here beside it is the lacebark elm, which seems to be real popular, and it's an elm that doesn't get the elm leaf beetle, and it's a real good addition to the yard. It makes a nice shade tree. The broad canopy is really nice. If you have a large yard, it's a good homeowner's use tree. But then the contrast with the golden lacebark elm is really nice if you like something with a little different leaf color to it.
Right, that two greens together look very pretty. Now, you also have a native tree area in your arboretum?
Right. We have a native tree meadow, and surrounding the meadow is trees that are native to the state of Oklahoma. The tree that we have here is the chickapin oak, and this is a nice display because most of the trees that are here in our native meadow are mature. And a lot of times when a homeowner is planting a tree, they want to see it in its mature state. And so they come out, a lot of the nurserymen will direct them out to Will Rogers, and they'll be able to see the tree in its full maturity.
Now this one here is definitely giving us a lot of shade here.
Right. This is a western soapberry. It's a nice native tree. Of course, people are getting interested in native varieties to plant in their yard, and western soapberry is a good variety. On all of our trees, as you see on this one, is signage. We have the botanical and the common names to all the trees, not only in the native tree meadow, but all in the arboretum also.
That's good. So people can come out here, look at these mature trees on their own, kind of see what those 5-gallon containers are going to look like.
Right. It keeps us, we don't have to give them a self-guided tour. They can come out. We have a brochure that they can get. It shows the trees and the locations of their genus, like an elm or an oak. And so they can pretty much come out on their own, and the signage is on all the trees, so it's real easy for them to find what they need.
Great. Kathy, we've really enjoyed this tour. It's just been wonderful seeing the gardens and the arboretum. And there's one other thing I want our viewers to see before we go. This smoke tree that you've got growing here is just gorgeous.
Right. This is a purple smoke tree. This is one of the trees that people out in the park really take notice to. They'll come find us to ask us what the name of it is. And it's a very common. You can buy it at your retail garden centers. And also the purple foliage is a nice contrast to use in your yard. And we used it with our Eleagnus right next to it, so you have 2 color variations. And you not always have to have flowers to have colors. You can see with the purple foliage on the smoke tree and the Eleagnus, it's really nice.
Yeah. And that's a very tough tree too.
Right, it's very tough, very drought resistant. And of course, as I say, if it grows in Will Rogers Park, it'll grow in your yard. So
great. Well, we've enjoyed the tour. If somebody wants to come visit, what are your hours here?
The park is open every day, 7 days a week. We open up at 7 and we close at dusk, which is about 30 minutes before dark. We're open up on a holiday, so you have plenty of time to come out and visit Will Rogers Park.
Right, and lots of seasons too. It's good to come over and over again, isn't it?
Right. Of course, each year we have the springtime. We have all the spring flowering trees and the shrubs blooming. In the summertime, we have the annuals. Our perennials are growing and blooming at different times of the year. And of course, the rose garden, spring and fall is really pretty. So we have something to look at all times.
Great. Thanks again for our tour, Kathy.
You're welcome.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.